So just a quick look at my Kanto Sub6 subwoofer that I bought to go with my Yamaha 107. The Yamaha 107 has the subwoofer out, so I wanted to know exactly how much difference it would make adding a subwoofer. I'm still quite happy with the bass extension on it. Obviously it doesn't go hugely deep, in fact it's rated at 60 Hz. I just thought we'd try a subwoofer. Now, I know minimum size subwoofer you normally want to get about 8 inches, 10 inches if you can, 12 inches. The bigger the subwoofer, the lower it's going to go, all things else being equal. You can always turn a big subwoofer down. You can't turn the small one up without it distorting at the same sound pressure levels, relatively, of course. Now the thing is, so I was looking for the 8-inch subwoofer. I saw Kanto did a sub-8 subwoofer, but they also did, when I saw the sub-8, they do the sub-6. And the thing is, look at the size of it, it's absolutely brilliant. Now, it's amazingly compact. It is just, even with the feet, 9.5 inches high, which is the largest measurement, by 8 inches by 8.5 inches. So I couldn't resist seeing or hearing what it could do. So I did buy it. I knew my expectations shouldn't be too high. It's a 6-inch subwoofer, although I know the alternative to the 107, which is the Yamaha 207, which has the separate subwoofer, and it has a 6.5-inch subwoofer. However, it's matched. So that is a problem with subwoofers and other equipment where they're not together, is matching them. However, Kanto is a bit of a no-brainer because everything you're going to need to match to a speaker is here. So you've got huge range in the volume, and although they've got little dots, it's the actual steps are finer than those dots. So you've actually got, I think, 35 steps in volume. So that's great. And by the way, get a tactile feel. It's actually little clicks as you're going. So it's a really nice design. It's really well built. It's amazing for a 6-inch subwoofer. Easy on the volume to get the exact volume you want. You've also got your low pass filter. You can set it exactly where you want the bass to start kicking in. It goes from 40 Hz to 120 Hz. I've got to say, it goes down to 40 Hz. I'm not sure it really goes much, if any, below 40 Hz. I'll get to that in a minute. So maybe a bit misleading. Even in their own specs, they have it rated at 35 Hz to 165 Hz, I believe, but at plus or minus 6 decibels. So it's normally a standard 3 decibels when they bother to quote them, and they don't quote the actual range. Obviously, that's a huge red flag, but it's normally about 3 decibels is standard. So plus or minus 6 decibels is quite a difference. If they're quoting 35 Hz but at minus 6 decibels, I'm pretty sure it's not plus 6 decibels. It's not going to be that loud, is it? So you're really looking at 40 Hz as your bottom on that. And having heard it, I think that's where you are looking at it. So, and I have to point out, I bought it for to match my soundbar. 40 Hz is not very deep for a subwoofer, especially when you're paying £220 for third-party subwoofer. Also got to point out, this is really designed to go with their desktop speakers, the YU2, the YU4, YU6. So they come with a phono preamp. They're obviously a very specialized thing. You wouldn't need to really go that much deeper when it comes to what it's designed for. I'm not saying no music is below that, but obviously when it comes to home cinema kit, it's very much about, the 20 Hz to 30 Hz, isn't it? So it doesn't go that deep. I shouldn't really have expected too much. I'll get to my views in a minute. Just wanted to say, what is a lovely sub? It's a really nice design, and if you want something really compact, it's a bit of a no-brainer. It's amazing. It does go loud. It does have a big punch. It doesn't go that deep. Really nice volume control. You've got your low pass filter for easy matching. Auto off. Now, that's really important. A lot of subwoofers don't come with the auto off. So, if you don't want to keep getting up to turn it on and off, you want an auto standby, I should say, rather than, obviously it's not going to turn it right off. It's an auto standby. Now, I have read where some people say they've had some problems because obviously it's sensing the input, where they're saying, it's turned off when really it's just a really quiet track. However, you can have it manually on and you can have it manually off. and you can have it auto, or you can got your big on-off button down there. So you're pretty much covered with whatever you want to do. You'll notice it's got stereo RCA in, and you might be thinking, well, what if I've only got one input? It does only come with a mono input lead, which is your clue that actually you'll find they work separately. So you can have stereo, you can have two monos. I know it's not a home cinema kit, but it does mean you could have one into your subwoofer and another for the dedicated low frequency effects channel, and they will work independently all together. So you don't have to have both of them filled. You don't have to have both of the inputs, as in say a stereo. It will work with only one input, but you can use both inputs as well. You've also got your phase switch. So if you're placing it a long way from your main speakers, if your main speakers are wide the wrong way around, or you just want to experiment, see if you get a bit more punch out of it, you've got a phase switch. So everything's covered. It's a nice design, but it's not particularly cheap. You can get ones that go lower, but they will be a bit bigger. This is a £220 speaker. Now, they do for £270 sub 8. So they do the 8-inch, which is a bit more powered. This is 100 watts. And I bought this because this is 120 watts. I thought it'd be a good match on my soundbar. But, you know, the expectations I shouldn't really have had too high. Other than, you know, it is a nice subwoofer. So, in terms of matching with my soundbar, if you're looking to use the sub out on your Yamaha 107, and a bit of a disappointment. Yes, you can get a massive sound out of it. You can shake your room, but it's not deep. So there's a punch. You feel it in the gut. Watching a film and something explodes and it's, you know, you really feel it hit you. It can do that, but it doesn't go low. And it's a bit woolly. Now, you'll notice, oh, by the way, I just want to show you it working, because I just want to show you how it changes colour. Standby is always red. If it senses something, it will go to green. So if you want to know if it's actually sensing anything or not, or if it's in standby, that's the clue. Standby is red. And when it's actually active, it's green, by the way. So that was that. Just say, in terms of matching with the 107, yeah, big punch. It is great fun. However, for a sealed enclosure, which is this, you'll notice there's no port. So generally, you'd expect a sealed enclosure to be a tighter sound, a bit more of a full range, and less woolly. Maybe not quite as deep as a ported enclosure, which would generally go a bit louder. It uses the room acoustics a bit more. But I found, to my ears, this is quite woolly, I have to say. And I had it in a small room, so I've got to be fair. It's not the greatest test of how tight and how fast it is as a subwoofer. But I thought it was surprisingly woolly. And yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment. In hindsight, I would have gone for the 8-inch. I couldn't resist this given its size. I just wanted to see, you know, if it can make enough of a difference to be worth having just a 6-inch as opposed to, say, you know, 8-inch is really what you would think would be a minimum for a subwoofer to go deep. But yeah, also in hindsight, really need a box that goes deeper than probably around the 40 hertz that this goes, you know, with any significance. Specifications, it's a paper cone driver. Some people say they associate that with low quality subwoofers. However, you do get paper cones in high-end subwoofers as well. So I wouldn't really read anything into that. As I said, it puts out 100 watts. And it weighs 5.3 kilos. So it's a really compact, sweet little subwoofer, you know, and if you want to hide it away in a room, really easy to do. It makes more sense, definitely, to match the speakers that Kanto actually make, which is the Y2, YU4 and the YU6. And in terms of matching with my 107, yeah, so it doesn't go deep, but it can still overwhelm the 107, even though it's only 6-inch. But the reason for that is to make up for the lack of actual bass extension, you end up having to turn the volume up on it to, you know, so you're still getting a decent punch and, you know, shaking the room. However, when you do that, it's then overwhelming the soundbar. So actually, in hindsight, it's really, you still need a big subwoofer to get a decent match because you can still turn it down but still get the bass extension. Maybe their sub 8 would have been a better choice. However, The published specifications are exactly the same, both of those subwoofers, 35 Hz to 165. Oh, well, to be fair, the high end is 175 Hz on the Sub 8. However, the low end, 35 Hz plus or minus 6 decibels. Look, I was both happy with this subwoofer and disappointed. In terms of home cinema, it's a disappointment. That's me. It doesn't say it's a home cinema. Clearly isn't. It's a music subwoofer, and it's meant to go with little speakers. Certainly puts out a big punch. You're using it at home cinema and something explodes, it's boom, right in your tummy. I mean, it will go loud and it will have a real punch, but to get that punch, you're turning it up and then you're overwhelming your soundbar. So, and it was woolly, I've got to say. And I'll give you an example. So on these little clips, it is a music soundtrack. It's not a home soundtrack. It's just trying to give you an example about one of those reasons I got in trouble with some copyright soundtracks I used in the last video. So it just shows you the difference between having the soundbar, having the subwoofer, and not having the subwoofer connected to the 107, and also how it compares to using bass extension. As I said, the real problem is to match it nicely in a subtle way with the soundbar requires turning this right down. Now, problem with the crossover on the Yamaha is it doesn't actually switch off the internal subwoofers. So there's a problem, you've got to turn the low pass filter down quite low, otherwise it's not a matched bass. You're kind of doubling it up. I see it variously quoted at 100 Hz and 165 Hz. I think it's 165 Hz at the crossover. However, it does go quite low for a soundbar without a subwoofer, without a separate subwoofer. And I wasn't really using it. I wouldn't have it more than 85 Hz, and really I had it lower than that, 70 Hz around that for the crossover. Otherwise it just wasn't balanced. It was overwhelming it. And then having it that low, I'm having to turn the volume up a bit more. But to have it subtle, around 70 Hz, and actually taking the volume down to about 40 Hz, and then it's matched as I go through the volume steps on the soundbar. However, it's only a subtle difference if you do it that way, because it's not going deep and you've still got the internal subwoofer. To really make a difference, you've actually got to turn the low pass filter up much higher, but then you get the problem of the doubling up of the bass, and turn your volume right up, and it's a lot of fun. However, it's completely overwhelmed. Even for a 6-inch subwoofer, it completely overwhelms the soundbar. So, and it's woolly. That's the other downside. It's not tight, so it wasn't a great experience. It was fun, but it wasn't a great home cinema because not particularly accurate, I thought. So this just gives you an example of what happens as you go up in the steps with the subwoofer connected to the Yamaha. Obviously, as I said, keep saying it's designed to go with their desktop speakers, where it's going to be quite different. I assume that it's a better match and you don't have quite the same problem. So these are the example clips. So that's basically my views. There's two separate things here. It's the subwoofer itself, and then there's matching it with the 107 soundbar, which is obviously a very niche thing. But I think you can actually expand that to say, generally, could you use this for home cinema? Not really. It's not great for, it really just doesn't go deep enough. It would have been great, isn't it? Because look, look at it, it's a fantastic looking subwoofer, and you know, compact, put it anywhere, it's great. However, for a sealed enclosure, I thought it was a little bit woolly. I'm sure it sounds great with their desktop speakers, and if it's a choice between the Sub6 or the Sub8, definitely go for the 8-inch, you know, and it's a little bit bigger. I got this because I just thought it would be amazingly fun to have a subwoofer this size if it was still putting out something reasonably deep. But I should have really known by those specs that it wasn't going to go that deep. You can get cheaper subwoofers, going to go deeper, but going to be a bit bigger. It's just a really nice design, but maybe I'll get their desktop speakers and I'll see how it sounds. So yeah, I hope you got something out of it, and thank you for watching.
UK